Dear God, I'm ready for your help in removing from me the defects of character which I now realise are an obstacle to my recovery. Help me to continue being honest with myself and guide me towards spiritual and mental health. Amen. It is with much love and gratitude that the group welcomes Leslie S. to come and share with us. Leslie, over to you.
Thank you so much. That was well said. I wish I had an accent so I sounded like that. My name is Leslie Strange. I'm a recovering alcoholic and an addict, I'm sure of it. If I didn't get it when I was out there drinking in my first 30, 60, 90 days, I get it now. I'm 36 years sober. My sobriety date is November 2nd, 1988. I'm going to talk to you guys about some things that I've considered, that I've meditated on, that I've learned by experiential, and some have been zaps to my brain, white lightning, some discoveries about who I am and who I'm not. Yes, you could say speaker, but I'm just an alcoholic in here in a discovery mode and learning about this power that can remove everything. You say everything? It can remove everything that's blocking me from my usefulness to you guys and even to my family, even to my friends, and more importantly, blocking me from his spirit. I'm not an authority. I'd like to let you know that. I'll say for me, I don't know about the other speakers, but when I'm asked with the charge of sharing my experience, strength, and hope about a difficult subject, because 6 and 7 is difficult to put into words. The appearance of them seemingly out of nowhere and the removal of them and seemingly out of nowhere. Why do we have them? This group says, 6 and 7 is like, 6 is like having a flat tire and 7 is like driving with a flat tire. They've got some cute stuff because we're alcoholics. We're brilliant. We come up with great answers on what 6 and 7 actually appears to be. In fact, I was reading a new pair of glasses with my family group on Thursdays, and Chuck C answered the question that he asked Bill, why did you do 6 and 7? It's kind of repetitive, right? And Bill just basically said a Leslie answer. I like Bill on that part when he said, I did it because they mean the same thing and I didn't want to repeat myself. That's what I heard Bill say. So whatever it is, your belief system as to why 6 and 7 is, that's cool. What's yours is yours. What's mine is mine. And I pray that somebody, at least if you don't agree with me, that spirit and the language of my heart comes through and gives you something to have a little perspective on, maybe ruminate on it. Ruminate means to chew, like cows chew cud. That's what rumination means, is to chew on something. And cows are so groovy, they got 2 stomachs, so they can swallow it and bring it back up. Well, that's how I think about spiritual information. I can chew it, swallow it, and bring it back up again. Especially when I'm sponsoring, especially when I'm with a sponsee that's going through this road and they're doing the exact same things I did in my first single-digit years. So I got sober in 1988, and I got sober as a 28-year-old, and now as I'm 64, I look back, and when I meet somebody 26, 27, 28, or in their first 5 or 10 years, I look in amazement, and I go, wow, I was once them. There was a lady that spoke this weekend in Modesto, and she got sober at like 23 years old, and she's 18 years sober now, and now she's referring to the now young people, and because she's a little older, and she sponsors, and she was brilliant. She was brilliant. She was so good, she made me not want to speak no more. That's that baby. But what I understood in that is that she was talking about the defects that she had when she was new. And she talked about some things that she's been able to make up or make amends or forgive on. See, I know for me, drinking was the solution to any problem, fancied or real. See, I can't just put this in a cubbyhole for me and talk about 6 and 7. See, I know Ralph came last week, and I'm like a musician. If you're a real musician, you don't listen to commercial music because you don't want to get it all. I don't want to listen to him. I don't want to listen to others because I'll get diverted from my own truth. So I know he was here and I know he was brilliant, and the ones you guys have coming after me, I'm honored to be amongst the crew. But what I've come to understand is 6 and 7 cannot be isolated, but they can be. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about before this step 0, conceding to my innermost self. And I'm going to touch on it briefly. I didn't know what I was conceding to because I didn't know what the problem was. How you going to concede to a fight and you ain't swung? How you going to concede to a fight and you ain't in the boxing match? Or you getting pinged upside your head, but you don't even know you in a fight for your life. That was me. I didn't even know I was in a fight. I thought I was just enjoying and controlling and managing and doing it because I wanted to. I was 28 years old. I didn't have any kids. I lived in a house, my own apartment. I had benefits and all the good stuff, buy my own car, and I didn't have to talk to my mom and ask her for nothing till I had to ask her for something. Then I was mad I had to pay her back. You know what I'm saying? I'm that girl. And I kept drinking and I was experimenting and trying cocaine and acid and weed and hashish and all these different strains of weed before we got the weed they got now. They got people talking to trees. I don't know what kind of weed they smoking now. LA's just, I might need a white chick. I've been in LA almost a month, and everywhere I go I smell weed. I was like, okay, well if they take some hair samples, it ain't real anyway, so it's okay. You know. But I know as a kid, I got high because I like the effects produced by it. I like that buzz. Really, it started out with weed. I like that buzz. Doing to escape, I didn't know. But as time went on, it became more and more. And this disease is progressive. And of course, I ended up hitting the ever-loving cocaine pipe. Now, we wasn't smoking crack, and yeah, we was hitting the pipe, and we called it freebasing or playing baseball. That was the sexy term of it. And then prior to that, you know, we had our album covers, you know, that Earth, Wind and Fire album cover, that Gil Scott-Heron album cover. I didn't like him anyway, so it was easy to snort off that album cover. You know, there were certain album covers we just, you know, and you could tell when you was over a cocaine user's house, because they'd have little slices where they done took the razor blade, so the album covers kind of sliced up. Anyway, you know, don't go and look at your old album covers because you'll be disgusted. And that's what we used to do. And we pontificate and we talk about society and rules and all that kind of stuff. Because I thought I was kind of a smart girl. I didn't know I was smart. I just thought I was kind of smart. I was kind of snippy, you know, young, 28, you know, eyebrows growing in, all the hair in the right places. I was getting it in. And then came the day when I couldn't stop. Can't tell you exactly the day I couldn't stop, couldn't stay stopped, not get started, couldn't turn down nothing but my collar. If you offered me to snort some salt, I was going to be a high blood pressure snorting that. That's the kind of girl I was. I don't know where that came from. And so, you know, and it got progressively worse. And then one day, I conceded somewhere deep in my soul, like I think I got a problem. Didn't say it to nobody, didn't say it, I don't know if I said it out loud, can't remember, don't remember. Don't care to remember. I just know my actions showed that I conceded to my innermost self that maybe I was addicted to this stuff. Calling off work, not going to work, not showing up anywhere. And then if I get that call and you got a package for me, I'm there. Having sex with men I would never even talk to in the daytime. Doing whatever it took. And then here goes November 2nd, 1988, my first 24 hours sober. I conceded to my innermost self. I went to a meeting, had my mom roll with me. Now, I'm a fast forward. So I gave you the qualifications of, okay, she sound like she fit in with y'all. You know I fit in with y'all, and whether you know it or not, I know it. So all y'all trying to fit into Alcoholics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, Your Mama's Anonymous, and all y'all trying to fit in. I want to fit in with this, because we even got cliques up in here that we be trying to fit in with it. None of us is going to fit in ever with nobody at all times, so get over it. Worry about fitting in with God's will. Worry about working these steps. Worry about the things that you need to worry about. Step 1 is the conclusion. I lived it. I tell it. That's it. Step 2 is I'm insane. And only God can restore me. My mama can't beg me enough. The church can't. I got dunked, anointed, slayed, fried, died, and laid to the side. I got first Holy Communion, second Holy Communion, 99th Holy Communion. I knew the stations of the cross. I knew every religious prayer that you could have, Hail Mary, everything. But that was not sufficient. And if you'd asked me before I even got through the steps, do I believe in a God? I would have told you wholeheartedly. Absolutely. I heard that word blasphemy. That's frightening. I heard that word purgatory. I got to wait for y'all to pray me up into heaven. Oh, I heard about all that stuff in Catholic school. But when I got here, one thing I found out later on, y'all, is that I didn't trust the power. I didn't trust God. In fact, I didn't like God because he was always tardy for the party. I'm up here, one thread hanging, and God, you ain't even heard me. I'm fit to die and fall off this cliff. And what can't it be like in the movies? How come I can't get a man on a white horse that's handsome and looks like Sean Connery and swoops me up and takes me to... No. I get the dude that's robbing stores. I get the dude I got to put money on his books. But I volunteered for that. So let's get to the defects and shortcomings. I'm going to give you some stories to put skin on what my defects look like then, now, and today. Because I'm real transparent. I ain't scared of y'all. So I get into this program. I get a sponsor. I talk to my first sponsor. We go through the steps. I read my fifth to her. By that time, I just had a baby. I was pregnant, and I was going to follow my then husband, to Germany, where he got stationed. He was in the program as well. And the thing that I was so delusional about was like, oh, I got to do this 4-step. I got to do this 4-step. And because I felt like I took enough interviews to see that if you don't do your 4 steps, you're going to get loaded and die. I didn't know nothing about the rest of the steps. I just knew that 4 was the hanging man. That was the one that was going to kill you. So I was so adamant, I gotta do this 4. And then if you get sober with friends, all you zoomies and babies, if you get sober with your friends and y'all little babies or whatever, and it's a healthy competition. Mom, Val B's on her, she just did a 5th. Oh, hell no. Let me hurry up and catch up, because Val B ain't gonna out-recover me. What was our thing? Because we were all young. So we get into this inventory. I talk to my sponsor, and she says, okay, then here's the people you need to make amends. That's my first one, and kind of half-assed it one, but I got the pressure off. Y'all know how it feels when you eat that food and you ate too much and you got to let that belt loose. Well, I had the spiritual belt loose. I had a little bit of breathing room. I could say, I caught up with Val. Had no clue about 6 and 7. Several inventories in. So after I left Gail, I went to Brenda, did another inventory. Never thought about 6 and 7. I knew 4 and 5 and kind of prayed a little bit and went to a whole bunch of meetings. 6 and 7 lying in the cut. 6 and 7 is a cold dope fiend. 6 and 7 is like the coldest, coolest dope fiend you've ever met. 6 and 7 hides in the cut, in the bushes, in the back. Red Fox, what's his name used to say it, I could see his face. In the booth in the back, in the corner in the dark. Ralph know it, because I know he's going to say it to me. Yeah, that's how 6 and 7 was for me. So here I go 10 years, and I'm going through life, and I'm getting a divorce, and I'm having babies, and I'm doing stuff, and I'm having affairs, and I'm having all these things. And then 6 and 7, if it just got one sentence, why am I going to even trip on it? Didn't make sense, that one sentence. That one little paragraph, that little blurb, you see, you're an alcoholic like me, you got to put it in my face. I need a 75-inch high definition with surround sound to hear 6 and 7. Well, I got that surround sound because I went and acted on a defect. Now, Ralph and I was talking. Ralph, and thank you for that thought, because, he's real careful with me, because he might say something after I speak, and then I get all insulted. I'm being real frank with y'all. Y'all just a group of 100 of my friends, so I'm get frank with y'all. He's on here. He said something. I'm going to repeat it right here. Thank you, baby, for that. Thank you. I was sharing the other night, and I was sharing about 6 and 7, and when 6 and 7 comes, and the reason why this defect of lust of having a boyfriend and a husband in the program is 17 years, I was doing all the tick marks. This is what I literally said. I was doing all the checkoffs. I was going to meetings, sponsoring, speaking, traveling, all the check marks, all the stuff for a good AA or CA or everything that will make me a standing member of Cocaine Anonymous in my community. If you ask anybody about Leslie Stranger do this work, because she talks well. You see how I talk. She talks well. She talks hard. She don't put no cut on it. And y'all always talk about you don't want no cut on your dough. So you be picking me to sponsor until I give you some of that uncut shit. Then y'all take off running. But anyway, sidebar. So, Leslie Stranger. Ralph said something to me, and he said, yeah, that defect came out of nowhere. That defect of lust. I know I'm flirtatious. I'm a girly girl. I flirt. Ralph just looks at me and rolls his eyes. If I was him, I would quit me a couple flirts ago. He said, but I thought about it after you said it, Leslie. You were doing all the things that were helping you stay sober in the midst of your defect. That was 2 days ago. Still am chewing on that. It just came out just now, Ralph. That's the deal. 6 and 7, I'm going to tell you how I got there because I know I'm looking at my time and I'm looking at your time. Thank you so much. 6 and 7 are like this. After I did my 4-step and I did my 4-step with Betty T again, by that time I'm on my 3rd or 4th 4-step and I'm back in the U.S. and I did a 5th with her and I'm looking at 6 and 7 and I looked at it. So what do I do with 6 and 7? Because I thought I immediately shoot to the 7-step prayer. But how do I shoot? My sponsor said, how do you shoot to the 7-step prayer when you're asking God to remove all my defects that are in the way of blocking me from other people when you don't know what you're praying for? I wasn't clear. See, I'm a girl in the 5th step, and I take this literally. When I do a 4th step, it says the exact natures of my wrongs. Well, if I'm not clear on my mistakes, my blame, my part, my wrongs, whatever y'all educated big bookers want to call it, yeah, I said it. If I'm not clear, then how do I know what to pray to ask God to remove? How do I know what it is, Purdy, when it show up? How do I know that when the defect or the shortcoming shows up that it's all fear-based? And those are the things I need to be clear on when I'm asking God, remove this anger from me. Remove this throwing shoes at my kids, cussing at my kids, rolling my eyes at the boss, coming in late, doing what I want to do, stealing, hoeing, talking and gossiping and hating. And if I didn't recognize, what do we say? We uncover, we discover, and then we discard. But if I don't know what I'm uncovering or recognizing, what I'm discovering, what am I supposed to ask God to remove? See, for me, God is a participating program. So if I hadn't done the work to recognize what it is, I have less chance of recovering over. Let me explain to you what that looks like in skin, in a story. I didn't know I was a thief. I always prided myself in being true and honest. And I'm talking about money. And being true and honest, and I don't be owing people, and I pay people back. Let me tell you about the thief in me about 2017. Now, you know I'm 36, so do the math. That was a couple days ago. The way this time is moving. My mother gets sick. She had lupus. A lot of you guys know my mother has passed over, transition, and she left me a $600,000 house. And because I'm the oldest, it's just my brother and I, and because he was still actively smoking, my brother smokes hard. He smokes so hard, his socks stand up in the corner. My brother's the brother that in Los Angeles, I can go up and down Washington. You know, every city got its dope spot. And if you're anything like me, sober, I like to drive through and say, yep, they still smoking. But my brother was one of them, steal my mama car, steal my mama eyebrows while she laying in bed. This boy steal everything. And I'm sober. I'm the big sister. I'm up in here getting it in. Mom gets sick. In fact, before Ralph and I ever dated, Ralph was the man that did the quick claim deed, and my mom deeded her house. It was paid for over to me, and we went to the hospital, and she signed it. This is how far back Ralph and I go. He did my divorce. We were not seeing each other. We were friends. So I get this house. We're putting her in a boarding care. I talked to my grand sponsor. I'm ready to move to Atlanta with a boy while I'm married. Talk to my grand sponsor. Stay with me. Watch the story. And he said, if you can't be close to the house at that time, I didn't know. He said, because it needed so much work and it was on a great side of Los Angeles. It's worth $2 million right now. I wish I had saved it, but that's another story. And so I'm sober. And because my brother was in and out of jail, I made the decision. I didn't know I was making a decision based on stuff. I really didn't. But my action showed it. So I made a decision to sell her house I sold my house in LA. And then I had a job. So I had kind of money. I sold my mom's house for a large lump sum to somebody in the fellowship that a grand sponsor made the transaction happen. And I didn't give him any other money. Because he was either in jail, between crack houses. I don't know where he was, but he wasn't getting none of it. Because I took the position of God, decided he didn't know how to handle that kind of money, and he was going to smoke mom's money up. So let me handle it. What do? I come here, to Atlanta, rather. I buy a house. I spend money on the kids going to camp. I do this. I put it in the college fund. I'm buying designer this, and I got a brand new Lexus truck, and I got a Lexus coupe in the garage, and I'm taking this young boy who ain't got but a $1.05 and maybe a Walmart job with me, and I'm just living the life. I'm gonna show. Now, let's talk about what are 6 and 7. What are those 6 and 7? They call them the 7 deadlies. I think they talk about it. See, I love that 12 and 12 because the 12 and 12, you don't know what 6 and 7 is on the breakdown. In the back, baby, go read 6 and 7 and the 12 and 12. Bill will make your hat, touch your wig back blue. Shut up, Ralph. And he will let you know what 6 and 7 is. And he said, we just simply call them the 7 deadlies. Well, you don't know what the 7 deadlies. And he has that S word called sins. Reminds you of religion a little bit, huh? It's like, oh, damn, Bill's getting ready to preach. He don't preach, he just tells. And then he gives you the spectrum of each of the 7 deadlies. Like, I may not have walked up and shot nobody and killed nobody ever in my life, but isn't murder of the tongue, talking about somebody, isn't that just as bad? See, there's a spectrum. Either you are Ted Bundy and you got bodies and shit laid up underneath your house, or you're Leslie Strange. I'm murdering you by tongue. That damn Purdy, he don't know how to run no meeting. He all trying to run everything. He think he the boss of everybody. Why he got to be the one always putting out these good beats with Cassidy, and then he smiled and got a nice beard. Murder by character assassination. And Bill gives you the high end and the low end of my defects. And there's 7 of them simply. The 7 simple ones are like this. So what was that one I did? It was greed. It was glutton. Now see, there's this, I'm not finna here to define them for you. Go look up the difference because they're so close you don't know. Get your own idea of what greed and glutton is. And then there was jealousy and envy. Every time he got out of jail, he could come back to my mama's house. No, you ain't getting none of this. There was sloth. I stopped working. I'm hanging out with this boy. I'm spending my money, my mama's money, your money, and all that. That is thievery. That is straight stealing. Now you would think, I know some of you more spiritual than me would say, well, why didn't you just put something to the side? Because I didn't want to. Did I pray and ask God for the right thought, word, action, deed? Hell no. There was a sale over at this little designer place in Miami that I had to go to. I'm taking trips. I'm doing stone cold sober. I'm doing all the tick marks, y'all remember. I'm doing all the checkout. I'm still going to meetings. I'm over here with this boy on the side, but I'm doing all the things. Let me tell you how I made that up. I know this ain't 6 and 7, but I'm going to tell you, I can't leave you on that cliffhanger. Well, my brother got better. Not because of the rooms. He just did his own thing, and he kept the same phone number for 10, 15 years, and he stayed in the same place. And he went and took care of my mom when he was out, and I'd call him from Atlanta, and I'd say, okay, you gonna go check on mom for me, and he's doing better. And now the money's gone, of course. I done spent part of his inheritance. All of it. Behind my greed, my glutton, my selfishness and self-centeredness. See, there's 7 deadly sins. Let me segue for just one second. I'm going to come back to the story. There's 7 deadly sins to me, and they say it just as distinctly in 6 and 7, but then there's other defects. Greed and glutton. Lying ain't one of the 7 deadly, but we know that it's against the principles of the God of my understanding to lie by omission or commission. What about that fantasy lie you told yourself, she ain't speaking to me because this, that, and the other. You don't know the truth. Go ask. What about that lie? What about the lies you told yourself about he really wants you when he don't? You really want him. He's going to come to me. He's going to be the right man. Or what about if I have sex with him enough, he won't leave me. He'll love me. I've done all of those things. But in this case, I never thought once about my brother, my only brother. That defect came up and it was astounding. And then when that boy that I left the state with, he ended up marrying a stripper in Atlanta and then ended up marrying her, and I was devastated. Oh my God. And then when I find out he was a psychopath and he really was presenting the false sense of himself to me, I really believe back to what Ralph told me. If I hadn't been doing all the check marks and tick marks and the sponsoring and the standing up and coming to meetings and going this, I would have probably been more inclined to not be here right now. That doing the work in the midst of the defect is what sustains my sobriety and my own personal beliefs. Just give up because I'm tore up. Just give up because I made a mistake. I just don't throw my hands in the air and say, F it. My sponsor used to say a relapse is nothing but this words, excuse me on this recording, 2 tears in a bucket and fuck it. I'm just going to do what I want to do. Throwing my hands up and I'm not coming to this meeting. I don't like you. I don't like, and then critiquing my sponsor and all those things of it. As long as I'm doing it while I'm in the rooms, I've got a better chance than doing it and not being with y'all. Because when I'm with y'all, y'all are like, you know how bumper cars, they have those little edges where you can bounce off the rubber? Y'all my rubber edges. I can bounce off y'all. We might bump into each other and the car be and then you gotta get the man to help you run the bumper car and get it started again. So what I ended up doing is, because I have a God consciousness and I was doing those check marks and I was making amends and I was trying to be the best CAer I could be, the best Leslie Strange I could be, the best mom I could be, the best sponsor with the worst behaviors that I could be. One day, I told my brother, because my brother never said a word. I said, brother, you know, I spent all mom's money. I did all of this. You know what I'm saying? And I said, I don't have the money, but if you ever need any money and I got it, I got you. I said, that is my amends to you. That's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And because he's my brother, he didn't say anything. He's like, oh, okay. But if he calls me for $50 till payday, and if he calls me, it's not me playing God, has nothing to do with what should I do with this man person. Give it to him and give it to God. Let me tell you about lust. Lust looks a lot like love, don't it? How many of y'all been in love? I'm so in love. I'm so in love. My sponsor used to say some stuff like me. And what the hell do you love about this man? And I'd be sitting there going, he cute? You know, I mean, she would be like, no, what is it about this love, this man that you have, baby? Oh, he does this and he does that. Oh. So what it sounds like is you got conditions on your love. Oh, just because he can have your helium heels go up at the local motel and have you singing songs of praise and hallelujah, you in love with that? He said, baby, you better find a God higher than a bee's knees, because if you don't, you're going to mess around and drown, because water seeks its own level. So if you messing around with him and he ain't got no God and he ain't going to no meetings and he ain't praying, I had that guy, and this guy, Ralph sponsored, was calling Ralph more than the dude was calling Ralph. From Atlanta. Because the dude wasn't doing nothing. But I was in love. Gluttony is, I got enough, but I want some more. You know, some of us suffer from the disease of some more. How many girls in here got clothes and shoes you ain't even wore and the tag's still on the clothes? Shut up, don't judge us, guys. You guys got some shoes that say, thank you very much, Nicola, for being honest. You got stuff in there, don't need no more. It's not just the material thing. It's the people, places, and things. You may not have a big family. I may not have a big family. My brother has a son. I got 2 boys, but guess what? It talks about grappling for more and more attention and more love. It talks about, and that's always seeking more attention. I've got sponsees and they may or may not be on here. And babies, I'm not telling you a story, but I'm telling you a story without breaking your anonymity. But some of them need so much damn attention. I feel like I got both boobs in one mouth. It's like, baby, but I recognize that. Let me tell you how I get there. Now I'm gonna bounce back because I said I was gonna segue, and I know Ralph's gonna say you forgot to go back, but that's all right, Ralph. Don't say nothing. So I'm gonna go back to something about 6 and 7. Before I go to 6 and 7, let's go back to column 3 in my inventory. Mm-hmm. The third column. So first of all, the first column I discovered in my meditation, which is managing to slow my brain down and focus on one topic. That's what meditation is. It's not to manage and control my thinking because I can't, but it is to learn how to tame myself and be disciplined in my thinking. So one day I was sitting during the pandemic, loved that pandemic. It made me grow up a whole lot. And I was saying, wait a minute, if a resentment is nothing more than fear, yeah, I'm going there. If a resentment is anger and anger is fear, then that inventory is really a fear inventory, but then you guys give me a second fear inventory that may or not have anything to do with resentments. So you tell me to write down who it is and what I'm pissed off at. And you gave me grace. You gave me 3 columns to get all that crap off my chest. But then in that third column, you turn around and you tell me what was affected by that resentment. That fear statement that you made. And okay, it affected my pocketbooks and my ambition and all of the things. Now, if something affects all of the things, that means there's fear tied to every effect in that third column. If you ain't did it yet, you won't understand me, but put it in the back of your head. Ask somebody. Listen to the recording later. I said that third column is all based on stuff that I'm afraid of losing, what you gonna think of me, what you gonna take from me. So that's my sex relations. This affected why? Because I'm afraid that I ain't gonna have sex with this person no more. They ain't gonna want me no more. They're not gonna be attracted to me. Affecting my pocketbooks. What? Money? Money. Money means I'm going to be broken living under a homeless shelter in Atlanta, Georgia by the Greyhound bus station. Yeah. And then I'm going to be a hooker that takes a hit and die. Okay. Then you're affecting my ambitions. My ambitions was to be a star. I wanted to be Dorothy Dandridge in the 2000s. Shut up. Yeah, I said it. That's why I'm wearing this wig. I'm channeling Dorothy. And so what is it? Oh, my ambition affected my resentment with you affected my ambitions and my goals. And I'm afraid that I'll never be anything and nobody will ever know me. You know, if you think about it, behind every effect is a fear, Leslie. Didn't know that. Then you're going to give me this magical answer, solution, fourth column. Then you're going to tell me, was I selfish, dishonest, self-seeking? Then you're going to tell me fears in that. And if I'm dishonest with myself, it's because I don't want to face the truth because I'm scared of the truth. You can't handle the truth. I'm scared of the truth. And then you're going to move me over to telling another human being all this garbage. Oh yeah, I forgot. Sex inventory. That's a killer. But it's not talk about how you did it and what angle you did it and what motel you did it in and what back seats of cars. It's talking about your moral character and intimate relationships. Do you guys know that Betty told me one time, she said, baby, if you look at the sex inventory questions, and this is just for me, she said those questions can also be answered on anything and anybody. I took my mother through that sex conduct inventory. Where were you dishonest? Where were you bitter? Where did you cause jealousy? Let me tell you what I did with my kids. Let me give you a little skin story. What I did with my kids. If I had a boyfriend, the kids were secondary. Sober. I would leave the kids in the bed if I had an inkling. Any girls have that spidey sense that he got somebody over his house and you get in the car and do a drive-by? I know some guys do that too. Bill Swan, you look like you get in the car and drive by a girl's house. Listen, come on. I'm going to go see. And what do? Oh, let me look in his pocket. Oh, let me look at his phone. I did that too. I tried to log into Ralph's defect of fear and insecurity and all that and made me log into his damn Yahoo account. He left it open on my computer in Atlanta. Then I get a call because it said it was sending him a message. This was about 3 years ago. And he called, so cool. Hey. I said, hey, babe. So now I can't pull it back. I can't unshoot the bullet. You see, yeah. So how you doing? Not too good. What's wrong? Actress. I should have got an award. It says, so I got a notification. Somebody in Powder Springs, Georgia. I literally live in Powder Springs, Georgia, was trying to log into my Yahoo account. Y'all don't understand how embarrassing this is to tell y'all. So just remember, when you do something stupid, you can laugh at me, because that was the most that was special yellow bus, big helmet. That was not fun. Baby, I said, oh, and let me tell you what I did. Okay, I gotta go. It was crickets. Wasn't nothing to say. I hung up the phone. It took a whole 24 hours. Because when you develop a God consciousness, you can't, I know I'm going to have to see him again. I'm going to walk in and go, hey, babe, like nothing happened. You just went your happy ass into his Yahoo. He ain't got nothing in there. And if he did, I didn't need to see it anyway. See, that's the kind of stuff, that's a defect. Let me tell you how I found out specifically what my defects are. Let me get serious. And let me tell you what I do with my sponsees. When we do our fifth step, in the fifth step, not only have I been heard, because it's a spiritual thing in being heard and listening. It's a humility. It's the sitting down. Yeah, I can give all this stuff directly to God. Yeah, I know some of the grave emotional mental disorders and some of the manipulations and defects. But I need to be able to tell another human being, because why, ladies, I always say we can't see our own ears. Men, you can't see your own ears. Yeah, you can see them now because you're on Zoom, but you can't see your own ears. Girl, I need somebody to tuck my tag. Girl, I just bought a brand new cute little Ross dress that was $2.99, and I'm going to this fly event. I want one of these people like Mina to walk up telling me behind me, say, because you see women, we do that. We whisper, girl, hold on a minute. Let me fix this tag. Let me tear this tag out. I want somebody to tear the tag out my back of my cute dress so I can continue. You know, I want you to let me know I got toilet paper on my shoe, Nicola. Yeah, you know I'm raggedy and my ass is flapping in the wind. Well, don't say nothing, Ralph. Don't say no. So anyway, so what I do with my sponsees is when they get to that point where they're ready to read their inventory, I developed this. This is me. Everybody does it different. I tell them, draw a line down the middle of the page, and on one side I want you to put assets, and on the other side I want you to put defects. And as you're reading to me about each and every person in your resentments, and we're in a spiritual bubble, because it's not just me and it's not just you, but we've invited in the Most High, the one with no name, the Spirit, the higher power, the one you don't even believe in. Something else is in the room. I tell my sponsor, it ain't just me and you in this room. It's somebody else in this room. And I pointed to my girl Ruth. I said, you sitting over in that chair. She said, and there wasn't nobody in the chair. She said, God. I said, because we say the prayer before we come in. And then I start talking to her, and we start not only using words that the seven deadlies give us, but we also use words like selfish, stingy, mean, bully, ugly acting, revengeful, because that was what was done for me. Those are the words that the seven deadlies, okay, but when somebody said that you just trifling, nobody wants to be known as a thief. Nobody wants to be known as a whore. Nobody wants to be known as a stealing, gluttonous. And I dig deep, because my sponsor dug deep for some of the nastiest words, and it was like words like, ugh, she was too old though for me to hit her. Plus I can't fight, she probably would have tore my butt up. But no. And so when my sponsors, and I say, write down all the things, but let me tell you something. Two things can be true at the same time. Because when we get at that defect list, then we get in the assets. I'll tell you, you don't know how to be a friend. You're a bully. Put on the asset list, it'll turn around and say, but you're loving and you're kind and you're a good friend. You don't know how to be a mother, but you're a great mom. And when you get a balance of that, because the big book doesn't necessarily say that, but the 12 and 12 talks about the assets and liabilities, and you get a little bit of a balance. Now, sometimes that liability list might be a little bit longer than that asset list and vice versa, but at least I'm armed with some things to be able to give as an offering to God to help me change. Seventh step is clear. And as time goes on, one list may shift and may not. The thing about it is there's a defect. Fear is the food that feeds the resentment. Fear is the food that feeds the third column. Fear is the food that feeds my part, my reactions, my actions. Fear is the food that feeds the seven deadlies. Fear is the food that feeds my defects. And fear is the food that makes me stop with brakes on my eighth step. Fear is that corroding thread through my whole life. And if I want to grow up, if I want to be a better person, I have to walk with the fear until it becomes faith. You can admit you're scared, just do the damn thing. Because if you're anything like me, I don't know the outcome. That's what I'm scared of the I don't knows. I sabotage myself because I tell myself stories that are not true or some fantasy story. And then I stop right there because what can it do but help me? What can it do but make me better? What can it do but grow me? Then I see all these other 199 people in here that have done things and I've gone to meetings and they say they've done it. And these people ain't lying. Everybody don't know everybody say, hey, we gonna tell Leslie a lie. There's got to be something magical about these steps. Looking at 6 and 7 and observing 6 and 7 and being a part of 6 and 7, isn't that the key to the entire thing called a happy, joyous, and free life? It's loving ourselves and others in spite of their defects and shortcomings. Isn't that what we're trying to do? Isn't that the freedom of being free? Isn't that the peace that we ask for in the midst of the storm? So that means everything around me can be going haywire, lack of money, property, prestige, friends, family, kids die, mama die, I'm about to die, he got cancer, all of that. But how can I establish peace in the midst if I don't know what to ask God to help me with? And so I started thinking, that's scary, that maybe some defects need to be repeated. I asked my sponsees a question. How do you know when it's God's will? That's a hard question. That should be the name of a meeting. How do you know when it's God's will? Or it's when everything's messed up and everything works out smooth. Or I don't know how it's going to happen. Everything works out smooth. Everything was smooth. I said, but what about the rough stuff? It's making me grow spiritual muscle. Its character development doesn't feel good. Getting a new pair of teeth don't feel good if they got to do a root canal and pull out the other. Sometimes there's chaos before recovery because it is a way of me knowing that I'm going to do just like I did with the dope. I'm going to surrender, baby. Some of us have to slide into. One girl ended up talking about she had to go do some time in jail because of a defect of being greedy and gluttonous and sloth and wanted to hurry up with the quick come up, and she had to go to jail. You know, everything is consequences. God don't have nothing to do with the you can do. My sponsor used to say, do whatever you want as long as you're willing to pay the spiritual consequences. And the cold part about that is you don't know when it's coming, how it's coming, and where it's coming from, but you know you started it. Did not we set the ball rolling? So if you go through all these steps and everything seems clear, I've had times of grace and beauty where there was no one I was resentful at, nothing was wrong, no defect was consciously active. And for that, those moments, I'll hold on to them because I'm either coming out of something or I'm getting ready to go into some shit, probably self-imposed. You know, because we don't do well with peace. Because the 12 and 12 says we're addicted to drag, drama, and BS. And we are children of chaos. And I believe that sometimes we're staying in the same chaotic situation. Chuck C said the answer is not in the problem, the answer is in the answer. So if you have a problem with your 7 deadlies or your defects or shortcomings, you can't let this person go. You can't take the chance of letting go of this job and going to this job or going to school or doing whatever. You can't take a chance and walking up to somebody you don't like and saying, I love you. You can't, your ego will not allow you. Your ego will not allow you. You're blocked. And these defects is winning. These defects are just like being in a boxing ring with Mike Tyson. You get punched this, you get an uppercut of envy, you get a gut punch of greed and glutton, you get a slap of jealousy and it knocks you all around, and then you go, thank you very much, and you go around and you go back to the coach, which is your sponsor, your recovery friends, your coaches, and you say, what's wrong? I'm getting beat up, I'm doing all the stuff that they tell me, I'm doing all the checks, I'm doing all the things, why am I getting beat up by defects? And either you surrender or you win or you lose. But what you don't do is you don't quit fighting. They whisper that stuff into your ear and then they push you out into the audience and they push you back out into the ring now. Come on. So the defects are there to give me something to grow to and to strive toward forgiveness, love of others in spite of themselves. You don't have to worry about, I'm going to be done with this. You don't have to worry about establishing worth and self-esteem and healthy this and all this. Screw me. Screw that. If I get to skid mark on a defective character, right back into the level of humility I had when I conceded to my innermost self, I might stay sober and I might be okay and I might grow some character and some huevos and I might be able to be somebody greater than I ever could imagine. It takes a big girl to stand up and do what? 11th step. Love the unlovable. Forgive the unforgivable. Because you got to remember, my sponsor said this, Betty T. Ask yourself when, if you done that, felt like that, and did some nastiness like that, you too should have more compassion than anybody else. My name is Leslie Strange, and I hope I gave you a little something, a little part of my soul. I love you.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for your share. You were heard. Appreciate you and grateful you're here. Let's all take a moment. My Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character which stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I go out from here to do your bidding. Amen. I'd now like to hand back to Leslie to take us out with a prayer or reading of their choice.
Thank you, everybody that came on here, all my family, my loved ones, my friends. If I don't know you, I hope you got a piece of me and you know me today so you can say you know me. After a moment of silent meditation for the alcoholics and the addicts and the children who don't have a say in the matter, we'll go out in the serenity prayer. Again, thank you, Father. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Give me the courage to change the things that I can and the wisdom to know the difference. And so it is. Thank you, everyone.